Hello, and welcome back to Muppets Rule. Dean here, and today I will be reviewing my entire Muppet CD collection that I have. So let's get to it. Starting off, of course, we have a soundtrack album for The Muppet Show that was released for the 25th anniversary. The Muppet Show, Music, Mayhem, and More. And on the cover, we have Kermit, Fozzie, Animal, Gonzo, and Miss Piggy. And then here's the back cover that lists all the songs. There are songs from The Muppet Show, The Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, and a deleted song from Muppets from Space. So here we are. Here's the CD. And behind it, here's some artwork of Statler and Waldorf from Muppets from Space. And here's the CD booklet. And here are several characters from The Muppet Show. A little producer's note. Pause it if you want to read it. There's Kermit and Miss Piggy. And then here we have more images from The Muppet Show and a whole little article that the Jim Henson Company made about the music in the Muppet franchise. And then here's more. Sorry. Here's more of it with the Pigs in Space poster. And here's the Muppet Show poster. And then here we have some images from The Great Muppet Caper and the Muppet Movie. And here's an image from the Muppet Movie and a promotional image. And then here's just some more of the article about Muppet music. And then more images from the Muppet Show. A promotional image of the Muppet Movie. This article was written by Craig Sheeman. He was the one who wrote the Muppets Character Encyclopedia, which is a very awesome book. And then here are all the tracks on this Muppet Show CD. And then here's the original album sources and the featured character voices. And then over here we have some credits for this album. And so that is The Muppet Show, Music, Mayhem, and More. Next up, we have the soundtrack for the Muppet Movie. Very nice promotional artwork. Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy on the cover. And here's the back cover with all the tracks and the Muppets and performers who sing the songs. And then here's the CD for the Muppet movie. A blank white background. And then for the booklet, there's Gonzo and his balloons. And then here's a little article written by Paul Williams for the soundtrack. I'll make the screen bigger, and anyone who wants to read it can pause it. And then here are some promotional images for the Muppet movie. And then here are all the tracks and the Muppets and performers who sang them once again. And here are the album credits. And so, yeah, that is the Muppet movie soundtrack. And then next up, we have the soundtrack for the Christmas special, John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. There's the cover, very nice, with John Denver, Fozzie, Robin, Miss Piggy, Kermit, Gonzo, and half of Animal right there. And then here's the back cover with all the tracks. Now, for some strange reason, they didn't release Little Saint Nick by the Electric Mayhem on this edition. This is the only edition of the soundtrack where they excluded it, and I don't really know why. If anyone knows, please let me know why in the comments. And then here we have the CD itself with the characters on the album cover. A blank red background. And then here's the CD booklet. It has all the Muppet performers here and some album credits. And here's a little article by the late John Denver. And I don't really know what this is. I usually don't see advertisements in a CD. Okay. Anyway, this is John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together soundtrack. And then here we have the soundtrack for Muppets from Space. Really cool cover. We have Miss Piggy, Kermit, Gonzo, Rizzo, Fozzie, and Animal. And then here's the back cover with more promotional artwork from Muppets from Space and the track list. The last track, I'm going to go back there someday, was recorded for this movie, but then decided against to use it. This was where the Muppets from Space version of I'm Going to Go Back There Someday was first used. Here's the CD, a nice and simple yet kind of boring label. And then here's some artwork of Gonzo, Kermit, Fozzie, Miss Piggy, Rizzo, and Pepe. And then here is the CD booklet, Muppets from Space, The Ultimate Muppet Trip. And then here we got some information about the tracks. And here's the other side with more artwork. There we go. And then next up, we have The Muppets, A Green and Red Christmas. And there's Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy on the cover. Now, what's cool about this one is it has original artwork of Kermit and Miss Piggy that the Muppet Studio made exclusively for this album. And there's the track list of original songs for this album. And there's the CD itself. Blank white background. Kind of Christmassy, I'll admit. Well, it is a Christmas album after all, so, you know. And there's Kermit. And the CD booklet. The Swedish Chef. Bork, bork, bork. And here is Fozzie Bear in a Santa hat. Ow! Waka waka! And then here's the album credits for this CD. And then here's more artwork of Miss Piggy and Kermit. And then, next up, we have, the soundtrack for the Muppets. I love this album cover. So many characters crammed into one. There's Gary, Mary, Walter, and up in the top right corner, you can see my favorite Muppet of all time, Thog. There's his little snout and his big blue body, standing behind the other Muppets. My Thog bias talking. So yeah, here's the soundtrack cover for the Muppets, with so many nostalgic characters crammed in with the new ones. And then here's the back cover with the track listing. And up there is Animal. Some album credits. And then here we have the CD itself. And here's some artwork with Fozzie, Kermit, Miss Piggy, Rizzo, Gonzo, and Animal. And then here is the CD booklet. There it is. And here are the lyrics for the Muppet Show theme. The lyrics for Life's a Happy Song. The lyrics for Pictures in My Head. Legal information for me and Julio down by the schoolyard, Rainbow Connection Muppets version, and we built this city. The lyrics for Me Party, and Let's Talk About Me. The lyrics for Man or Muppet. The legal information for Smells Like Teen Spirit and Forget You. I prefer the original, uncensored version of this song a lot more than any other versions. The uncensored version is the funniest. If you've never heard it, give it a listen. And then here are the lyrics for Rainbow Connection. The legal information for the Whistling Caruso. The lyrics for Life's a Happy Song finale. And the legal information for Mana Mana. And then here are all the Muppet performers who sing on this album. And then here are some album credits. And then on the back, we have Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Really cool, really cool. Love it. It's my favorite part of this CD booklet. Well, other than Thog making it on the cover. And then here we have the soundtrack for my favorite movie of all time, Muppets Most Wanted. Here's the cover with Dominic, Jean, Nadia, Beaker, Fufu, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Walter, Gonzo, Kermit, Animal, Sam, Pepe, and Constantine. And then here's the back cover with the track listing and a lot of bonus tracks as well. And over here is Constantine. And then here we have the CD itself. And here we get some fun artwork of Constantine. Really awesome. And then here we have the CD booklet. Here are the lyrics for We're Doing a Sequel. And more lyrics for We're Doing a Sequel. The lyrics for I'm Number One. The lyrics for The Big House. the lyrics for I'll Get You What You Want and the Muppet Show theme. The lyrics for Interrogation Song. The lyrics for Something So Right. The legal information for Working in the Coal Mine. The lyrics for Together Again. And the legal information for moves like Jagger. And then the legal information for Macarena and Muppets Most Wanted score suite. And then here are all the bonus tracks, the demos that Brett McKenzie did when he first wrote these songs. And then here are the Muppet performers who sang on this album. And then here are the soundtrack credits. And there's Kermit with the fake Constantine mole. And then here's the back of the CD booklet with Kermit and Miss Piggy. Really cool. Really cool. So yeah, that's the soundtrack for Muppets Most Wanted. And then, last but not least, is the score composed by Christoph Beck for the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. Love the artwork. Kermit Green, perfect. And then here's the back of the CD cover with Kermit sitting on a stool. And here are the Muppets Most Wanted score cues on this CD. And then here are the Muppets score cues on this CD. All the Muppet scores from the Muppets are bonus tracks on here, so they're not on the digital versions of this album, only on the CD version. And then here we have the CD itself for Muppets Most Wanted and the bonus scores from the Muppets. And then here's some really cool, awesome artwork of Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Pepe, Animal, and Gonzo. And then here we have the CD booklet. A bunch of Muppet eyes. I find that really funny. And then here's a forward note from the director of The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, James Bobin. I'll hold it over it for a few seconds in case you want to pause it and read it. Constantine right there. And then here is the score for Muppets Most Wanted, all the track listings. And then here are some album credits and an image of Sergeant Floyd Pepper. And then here we have Fozzie Bear, more album credits, and Animal. And then some artwork of Fozzie, Kermit, Miss Piggy, and Gonzo. The track listing for the Muppets score. And then here's Gonzo and some more album credits. Walter. More album credits. Pepe. Even more album credits. And some more Muppet eyes. And so, yeah, that is every Muppet CD I have in my collection. All these CDs are really fun to listen to. All very Muppety. Even Muppets from Space, which mostly had, songs by actual artists, not much of the Muppets themselves singing, but they're still all really good. Especially the soundtrack for the Muppet movie. Anyway, that's it for this review. Let me know in the comments what you think of my Muppet CDs, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.